Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. We're going to quickly jump into CoinGecko here. We're currently sitting at a 1.79, almost a $1.8 trillion market cap, currently up 2.6%. Looking at the top 10 here, Bitcoin sitting at 37,729, Ethereum sitting at 2,578, Tether is Tether, Binance Coin sitting at 385.56 or 66, Cardano sitting at $1.06, Solana sitting at 94.71, XRP sitting at 61 cents, Terra sitting at 51.67, Dot sitting at 1861. And as we come down the line here, we're seeing a lot more green today. We got a little 10%er here with the Sandbox metaverse play. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of green in the 24-hour period. But coming over here to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we're still sitting at a 24, which is in the extreme fear range. And we've been in this range for some time now. And we've already talked about it in a lot of our videos. You know, just so much economic uncertainty when it comes to our markets. And there's just a lot of fear and FUD going around. I wanted to start with Johnny Deaton's tweet here. And he says, you have noticed how Gary Gensler and Heron Lee and Hester Pierce and other SEC Gov leaders and staffers never give a personal opinion on whether a specific token is a security. Then why was Hinman so eager and willing to graciously give a public speech declaring ETH not one? Absolutely. So we're going to take a listen into this again.
One of them's from Rhett Creighton. Would Ethereum be considered a security?
I love the question because it's just a very direct question, and it's one that I get asked a lot. Again, I don't opine on whether any particular thing is a security. I think that's an important thing to know about the SEC. We don't give opinions about particular things, whether or not it fits within the security bucket, until if we think that it does and you didn't offer it the right way, we might bring an enforcement action. So it can be difficult for people to figure out. I will note, however, that you can look at a speech that the director of our division of corporation finance, Bill Hinman, gave, in which he addressed Ethereum, and you might look.
One of them's from Rhett Creighton.
So long story short, it's just like, okay, well, you know, you claim that William Hinman's speech was his personal opinion, but you don't give personal opinion on specific topics. And he specifically talked about Bitcoin and more specifically talked about Ethereum. But you don't give personal opinions if it's not, you know, under deliberation and it's, you know, established per the SEC. Kind of silly, kind of a slap in the face. But moving on. So we touched on this Barron's article and all the articles that came out about Biden's action when it comes to the crypto regulation side of things. So this article says White House wants crypto rules as a matter of national security. So Blockchain Backer had a different viewpoint on like how other people were taking it, as Johnny Deaton says, in a more pessimistic way. Blockchain Backer kind of did a deep dive himself and kind of looked at it from a different lens, you know, comparing and contrasting different articles that came out about it and looking at the different, Twitter threads that were coming out about it and, you know, who was posting and what the engagement was like. He did a full deep dive and was looking into charts and stuff as well. So I'm going to go through his thread and kind of see his viewpoint on, you know, why there was so much fear and FUD when it comes to, Biden's plan of his action on the cryptocurrency market here. So he says, one, if you haven't noticed, there's quite a bit of chatter around the water cooler about an executive order coming out as early as next week from the White House regarding cryptocurrencies. I'm going to present the counter narrative argument that is a good thing. So coming out here, his second one, he says, here are some of the articles. So obviously we pulled up the Bloomberg article yesterday. Here's the Barron's article. And then this is a Zero Hedge article here. So coming down here, he says, as we can see from the titles of on 2 out of 3 of them as a matter of national security, pretty scary, right? But all of these are quoting the original report from Bloomberg in which national security was used in this context. So he's talking about the late stage draft of an executive order details economic, regulatory, national security challenges posed by cryptocurrency, said the people who asked not to be named discussing internal deliberations. It will call for reports from various agencies due in the second half of this 2022. So yesterday's video, we talked about that. You know, they were talking about, the executive plan and action is going to happen next week. It's like, well, they're not collecting, the data and reports that they need till the second half of 2022. So how is there going to be some sort of definitive plan of action when it comes to these executive orders from the Biden administration? So that's what he was pulling up. So then he goes, a lot of worry out there that is that we will see something negative come out of this that impacts the entire crypto industry, in particular the altcoins, and providing safety for Bitcoin and Ethereum, considering government has essentially green lighted those. But I beg the question, how much of our interpretation of this event is based on our emotions and what has happened in the market right now? The price action has been negative for 2.5 months, and sentiment is in extreme fear. So we cover the fear and greed index for a reason every single day, just to see what the markets, how they're responding to what's going on. So we've been in this range. So then he goes, based on all the articles I've read, which are all quoting anonymous sources who request not to be named, the potential executive order would call for reports from various agencies during the second half of 2022. So that's what we just covered. It says, so none of these articles indicate anything will be happening in regards to actual regulation with the executive order coming out. But that an order would request reports from various agencies detailing economic, regulatory, and national security challenges due later in 2022. A lot of the fear out there is that Bitcoin and Ethereum will survive the moment, and the altcoins will get squashed as securities when this executive order is released. But these articles quoting these anonymous sources don't hint at that. The estimate are that 15 to 20% of Americans own cryptocurrencies. That would fall somewhere in the range of 30 to 50 million Americans. Also, this year is a midterm election year. So we talked about the importance of the midterm elections and how they're not going to do anything that's really going to tarnish their ability to, to be reelected and to stay up when it comes to, their popular stance. So it says, and we're looking at a narrative where these 30 to 50 million Americans will get hurt. Currently, President Biden's approval rating has been going in the wrong direction, heading into the midterm election. So he pulled up this, we can zoom in here so you can see. And he says, how unpopular is Joe Biden? So they pull up this approval rating here, 41.5%, 53.3% disapprove. So this all ties into his argument here. It says, it's not the presidency that's at stake in midterm elections. It's the House and Senate, which the Democrats own right now. They own presidency, House, and Senate. Looking at Vegas odds, they're teeing themselves up for a huge defeat at the midterm, losing House and Senate. So here goes the current odds political special. So you got, the Republicans 300, Democrats 220, Republicans 400, Democrats 275. You can kind of read through this and kind of analyze it yourself, all this information. But continuing on, he says, my point being is that if the Democrats are planning to hurt 30 to 50 million Americans, it seems like incredibly poor timing. They need a complete narrative shift heading into the midterm election, and doing something like that seems counterproductive. So if that really what is happening here, are the headlines portraying what is really happening? Biden admit to regulate Bitcoin as a matter of national security. Based on my intuition, that seems the opposite of the state of their dire political position. They desperately need to be seen as heroes right now to flip this disapproval rating around. And while the market is in fear, the headlines feed that emotion. Absolutely true. Absolutely. Concerned Bitcoin and Ethereum are safe, and altcoins are going to get labeled security. So this was a video. I'm not going to play it. You can go ahead and listen to it if you want to. So we're just going to continue on here. He says, this is interesting as we have been following Bitcoin and Ethereum, knowing that both of them have hit their 4.236 extensions on their market caps, getting rejected with negative price action with no news narrative. So coming over here, obviously you got the Bitcoin, they hit theirs. You have Ethereum hit theirs. So this, he's been covering these this technical analysis and following these charts for years, and he's been kind of preaching the same thing no matter what's going on in the market. Extreme greed, extreme fear. He still utilizes his fibs and the retracements and all the different points on it to kind of analyze what's going on. So coming over here, he says, however, this narrative is really building a lot of fear about altcoins and safety for the Bitcoin and Ethereum. In 2018, we knew it was Bitcoin's retrace after the top was in that created the altcoin euphoria and mania phase. So coming over here, you can take a look at it. So boom, 2017 Bitcoin top, right? And then you have the retracement right here. Look at this. The orange line is it says one excessive push for altcoin market into Bitcoin's retrace. So Bitcoin's top came down, retraced up, boom. So he puts out a lot of videos talking about Bitcoin retracements to like the 702 and stuff. So if you're into technical analysis, view his stuff and you can kind of go through that. So also he continues on here. He says, and right now, if we speculated that the market is in the same boat right now, Bitcoin has topped out at the 4.236 extension, then it's as if we are in the moment right now, the first initial knockback from the all-time high. So then he pulls up this chart here. Coming down, he continues on and says, but the narrative is fear-driven about everything except Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of which have done the same thing. that the executive order is going to come out and be terrible for our altcoins when we are at the similar condition in 2018. Is that due to fear? Great question. So he continues on. So if something entirely different happening here with the executive order, the Democrats are going to try to leverage as a benefit for themselves politically. What would happen if the report is not something as fear-driven as we must regulate, as fear-driven as we must regulate for national security, but an attempt to Democrats themselves as leaders in this new technology and wanting to help advance it, since 30 to 50 million Americans are so interested. It says maybe along the lines of America should be the leader in this technology. It is disruptive and here to stay. We should be the dominant we should be the dominant superpower if issued an executive order for agencies to provide reports, so we have a full understanding of all positive and concerns. Could this not be the first step towards what we've always wanted, America to not get left behind? Otherwise, if it truly is something as negative as many think, then we have to assume Democrats are throwing the midterms in the trash can. And I just doubt that'll happen. So I know this was a long thread. And we touched on kind of the different viewpoints, especially when it comes to blockchain backer and, Johnny Deaton, when it comes to those reports of that executive action that came out. But I love that he put this thread up, and I wanted to read it to you so you can kind of see just a different perspective, viewing the same headlines, the same information, just from a different lens. And so you can kind of compare and contrast and kind of formulate your own opinion. I truly value his input and how he looks at things, because based on my experience in the market from 2017 till now, there's been a lot of stuff that's come out in regards to that way. Whenever we're, pumping and, everything's going crazy, Bitcoin's going crazy, altcoins are going crazy, right? There's, so much good and euphoria going on. And then boom, we get hit with some more positives, but we get hit with a bunch of positive articles. And then, the prices of Bitcoin and the altcoins come down. It's like the media does the opposite of what's happening in the market. It's almost like they try to get us retail investors and other investors to buy in at tops, right? And then when we get to bottom, there's so much fear and FUD articles that come out, but then that's when they're accumulating and buying, and then we pump and take off. So just from that stance, from, the whole, media outlets, news outlets kind of pumping out, whatever emotions that we're feeling at that moment, they're kind of, trying to get that fear enticed emotion to come out. That's when I'm starting to be like real wary of kind of, okay, what's really going on behind scenes? What's going on behind closed doors. But, with me and my experience, I've had high conviction on this space. So I truly agree with, blockchain backer's viewpoint on it. Who knows if he's right or wrong, but I'm more leaning towards that positive stance, especially with, the midterm elections and, all those different variables, coming into the equation here. So, I want to thank BC Backer for putting that tweet thread up and giving us that different perspective. Coming with that, the digital asset investor had said, I sure hope BC Backer is correct. In the days of Bill Clinton, we did see presidents move in a more moderate direction as elections came near. However, with this crowd, I've seen no such indications. So he's talking about from the Gary Gensler, Elizabeth Warren, the Joe Biden. I've seen nothing but extreme left. So, who knows? Obviously, BC Backer is an older gentleman. He's still young, but older gentleman. So he's had, life experience and seen enough to kind of formulate his own opinion. But, just like him, I have faith that, BC Backer's viewpoint will be the right one, and only time will tell. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.